there's a sports analogy in here, and I'll throw out a couple. One is like with basketball, if you're really good at reducing permissions over time, excessive permissions, it's like being really good at free throws. It's one part of the game, or it's being, I have mastered the serve in tennis. But there's more to the game. In tennis, you've got backhands and you got to be able to work the court. And in basketball, there's three-pointers and defense and all these things that you have to do. The proliferation of identities in the cloud creates a situation where you're either trying to reduce the number of identities and creating more opportunity for toxic combinations, or you're massively increasing the number of identities in order to manage those things. And so you're kind of stuck. I don't want to say rock and a hard place, but you're kind of stuck one way or the other. There are organizations with a large number of employees that they have to track, and that's a whole other problem in itself. But when you have, even in those organizations where you have a lot of people that you're trying to manage in the cloud, you're also in a situation where you may need a bunch of identities to control how those people interact with things in the cloud too. So there's all of these like multipliers in there that can really get organizations stuck. The biggest challenge to eliminating like privilege and access issues is how the organizations are built. But the challenge is that, particularly around identities, a lot of companies, they see identities as a people problem. They see it, so it's, SailPoint and Okta and Ping and, CyberArk and these kinds of things. And there's a whole team dedicated to managing people identity issues. But when you get into the cloud, what those identities can do in the cloud, that same identity team that's managing Okta and how people are getting authorized to get in and do things, are not the same team that deals with the issues that the developers have created or that the infrastructure as code is deployed. And so when we talk about identities to these developers and these, DevSecOps or whatever, or DevOps maybe better, more appropriately, is that they're like, identities, that's somebody else's team. And then the identity team is like, well, that's the DevOps team. So there's kind of like this, thing going on with who's actually responsible and accountable for some of this. And so the power of Sonrai is that Sonrai has this concept of operationalization that enables us to be able to ensure that our findings are going to the right teams. And those teams, it helps organizations understand how to better adjust their organization to handle these issues, because a lot of organizations have spent a lot of time and money replicating similar environments to what they had on-prem. So they're using firewalls, they're using virtual machines, containers now. Still there's an OS or some piece of an operating system running in a container where they're able to control what's going on. But as those organizations start using more of the utility nature of the cloud and start using these other PaaS and SaaS tools in the cloud, they start to realize that the practices that they were using to manage VMs and that strategy of managing VMs even in the cloud doesn't necessarily translate to some of these other things. And so Sonrai provides the capability of being able to have a single platform that multiple teams can use and understand what's going on and become more effective at being able to take care of these privilege and access issues.